want to thank you all so much for being with us tonight and taking time out of your summer, which I hope has been filled with fun, sun, and laughter. And I want to share, I saw a peacock in St. Augustine recently. I've never seen one actually open all its feathers up and spin around. So I hope in the busyness of our summers, we're taking time to also explore and see things. We're very excited to have our three panelists with us tonight. And please know how grateful we are that you actually chose to be here tonight with us. Before I introduce everyone, I'd like to share a little bit about our Bachelor of Applied Science and Leadership program, and that is the program that's bringing you the speaker series event tonight. I'm Dr. Nancy Cummings, the program director for the Bachelor of Applied Science and Leadership program. Our BAS in Leadership educates and prepares people to successfully lead organizations and teams. Our program focuses on empowering our future leaders to reach their fullest potential. Through our 6 concentrations, graduates gain real-world experience so they can either enter or re-enter the workforce and positively impact their communities. Many of our students choose our BAS in Leadership program to advance in their careers and take their best next steps. The goal of our speaker series is to share insights and wisdom from community leaders with our students and our alumni. We're striving to showcase what it means to be a leader who is out there doing it and doing it really well every single day. So we thank you for being here. Through their stories and shared experiences, students gain real-life perspectives, and they can immediately apply them into their educational and professional journeys. And I'm going to have our VP, John Temple, come up and say a few words, and also he's going to give something away.
Everybody loves a good prize, right? Good evening. Thank you for being here. And like Dr. Cummings talked about, leadership is difficult. Leadership can be messy. Leadership is not perfect. And through this program, we hope that you learn about how to navigate those waters and apply it to your current jobs, your future jobs. I am very pleased to have the opportunity to oversee this program and many others. A lot of great things that are happening at Lake-Sumter throughout the workforce program and the other academic programs. But we're not here to talk about all that. We're here to have a speaker series this evening. So at this time, we're going to do a drawing. So I'm going to ask Deb. All right.
Have a drum.
All right. Let's see who it is. Have your red tickets ready. The last 3 numbers. 8, 3, 5. 8, 3, 5. There we go. All right.
Okay, you have to open it in front of everyone. All right, I'm going to introduce our moderator and our speakers right now. Our moderator is Deb Snellen. Deb is a speaker, facilitator, author, and instructor in our Bachelor of Applied Science and Leadership program. For the past 12 years, Deb has served in higher education leadership roles as a passionate strategist for all things related to talent management and organizational excellence. Deb is also an accomplished author. A fun fact I like to show off about Deb, and I know we're not supposed to show off as leaders, yet I like to show off our people. Her first book will be published this fall, and her book title is Scalable Talent Management, Proven People Strategies for Excellence in Organizations of Any Size. So just a real quick, if we can, clap, 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 for Deb and her upcoming book. And now as I introduce you all, please raise your hand so everyone will know who each one of you is. Ali Bias. Ali is the co-founder and creative director of AP Creative Branding Studio. It's a strategic branding and full-service marketing agency based in Mount Dora. She spent a decade building career in public affairs and international nonprofit management before deciding to make a bold change. She launched her own agency and now works to help new and established businesses succeed through strategic branding and high-quality design. Ali's personal motto is whatever you touch should be well-made and well done. She works hard to apply that standard to every client project and to her life at home. Ali, thank you. And Illy, I'm going to have you say your name.
Ilian Boigas.
Ilian Boigas. I got it. Ilian is a seasoned marketing and design consultant with over 20 years of experience across various sectors. She is well known for her expertise in enhancing brand recognition and driving audience engagement. Currently serving as the executive director of the Lake County Museum of Art, she has successfully developed impactful exhibitions and communication strategies that have revitalized the museum's brand presence. Illy has had a successful professional journey, serving in roles such as marketing director for several prominent law firms and social media director for a restaurant chain. Her skill set includes graphic design, event planning, social media strategy, and effective team leadership. Illy is an active member in her community, has served on several boards, and participates in various civic activities. Thank you so much for being here. Amanda Nethro is hailing from the south side of the county. Amanda is the founder and owner of New Heights Communication, a boutique marketing and communications firm known for its creative strategy, authentic storytelling, and deep community engagement. With over 2 decades of experience in nonprofit event and brand marketing, Amanda has built a reputation for helping mission-driven organizations and small businesses elevate their message and expand their impact. A connector at heart, Amanda specializes in bringing people and ideas together. She is a passionate advocate for local initiatives, proudly supporting causes that foster health, education, and economic opportunity. Whether she's managing the communications for large-scale festivals, amplifying the voices of changemakers, or mentoring the next generation of marketers, Amanda leads with heart, purpose, and a collaborative spirit. Thank you for being here, Amanda. Without further ado, Deb, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We're glad you're here. Thank you to our panelists. This is very informal. I have a set of questions, and I think you got the questions. You've seen the questions, but we do have a couple questions from students that got added in as well. I don't think they'll stump you. I think it'll be fine. But I don't have a structure for this, so we'll just kind of trade off. Anybody can jump in and answer the questions as we go through the ones that you know about, and then the ones from our students, and any questions from the audience as well. I want to start off by just reading the title of tonight's panel, Designing Marketing Initiatives That Drive Mission, Vision, and Values. So it wasn't just about marketing, but it was really tied to vision, mission, and values. So that starts our first question. How do you define an organization's mission, vision, and values? Why are they important for shaping a marketing strategy? And anybody can jump in on that very important question.
Sure. Go. You pick up the mic.
All right. At our agency, that is the core of really what we do with new branding and rebranding. We start with research, and I think that resonates probably with every other marketer, is you can't build anything without first researching, utilizing the RPI method, however you want to go about it. But we have a process where we go through a brand strategy development, and it's more than just marketing typically, because we're starting just at the base level of what does it mean to be your business, and not just your business, but what does it mean to be your brand? And so we go through a whole creative brainstorming process with clients, weeks of research and writing, and deliver a big report for them so that they can use that internally. And then so we can use that moving forward with them. It's a little bit of a selfish exercise, I think, because we get a lot out of it as marketers. But we identify, in addition to just your typical mission and vision, we go in depth into brand values and a brand idea. And the brand idea is, it's not necessarily the mission that they're on or where they want to go as a business, but it's what is the core personality and what are you really trying to do with your brand as a whole. And I think that is the best foundation that you can lay, is identifying more than just, what is it that you're trying to sell, but what are you trying to do in the world? If I have a chance to give a quick example, one of our clients is an equestrian facility up in Ocala, and they were transitioning from being a racing facility where they bred thoroughbreds to being a high-end hunter-jumper facility where people could come and board their horses. They would do shows and competitions because they really wanted to move away from the negative culture in the racing world and the negative impacts it was having on the animals. So we did our brand strategy process with them, research, target audience research, goals, all of that good stuff. And their brand idea, which sometimes we use as a slogan as well, that came out of that process was "for the love of the horse." Because at the core of everything that they were doing in terms of business transition, personal goals, ideals, values, was for the love of the horse. So that then translated into every marketing piece moving forward, digital, print. That slogan, tagline, brand idea was not just representative of them, but it was, everything we wanted to tell the world as well. So I think that research piece is so key for any business who really wants to have successful marketing. You have to know what you're about at the deepest level.
Thank you. Thank you. Elian. So I call that the why. Whenever I tell anybody that if we want to start doing some kind of marketing, I need to know the why. Those are the 3 core items you need to know. And that's true for just about any business, any nonprofit. I work with both. Once you have that whole concept of where you're going, what it is you're doing, and the values come into play, obviously, how you want to portray yourself, you're ready. You're ready to get started.
So as Ali was saying, research is huge when it comes to mission and vision and values and everything like that when you're working with a business. And a lot of my clients can attest, I send this, they call it an awful packet to them. And it's like, I don't even know how many pages long it is, but I want to know everything about your business. And I want to know that you know everything about your business before we start to do your marketing. I want to know that you're actually aware of everything that you're hoping to accomplish. And I want you to start thinking, so before we sit down and we have that brainstorming session, the process has already started. The wheels are already turning and you kind of know what you want to do. And then we go from there. And then I want to make sure you actually know what your mission and vision are. And that you're actually doing that as an organization and it's not just something that's sitting on your website. And that people within your organization also know it. So that way you're actually amplifying that through all of your communications.
Thank you. I love your example with love the horse. So if either of you have examples that you could share without client privilege, I get that. But if you have examples in any of these questions, I think those are really helpful to underscore the message. So the next question is, how do you ensure that your marketing message resonates with your audience? And that I especially liked, how did they know that that would resonate with an audience? So how do you know that the marketing is going to resonate with an audience and still be consistent with those mission, vision, and value statements? I mean, for me, you come up with these ideas, but you do have to get feedback. So as it comes out, if the idea is well planned and obviously it hits all those points, you're going into it knowing that you're probably going in the right direction. Sometimes it doesn't work. But you'll start getting that feedback so you can correct. There's always that chance to correct and make sure that you're going in the right track. Marketing is definitely, doing your A/B tests and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And not everything works for everybody the same either. What's a good indication that something didn't work? Well, I mean, social media is very easy. There's so many data points. So social media is a breeze, right? If you're not getting the likes, you're not getting the hits, you're not jumping over to your website, there's just so much data that you can get out of that. It's the real life part, right? Did you get an audience? Did you get people to come into your business? If that's what you were going for. I have, the restaurant could be my example. They really wanted more people through their door. And then they were asking, well, how can a video go viral? First of all, nobody knows how that happens. It just does. But that doesn't bring people to your door. Mm-hmm. So I had to explain that that's not the goal. The goal isn't to have a video go viral. It's not going to it'll bring some people. Mm-hmm.
but we have to target the people that are around you that want to get into that restaurant and eat whatever it is you're offering. So again, it's getting that feedback. So, okay, we ran this campaign. How did you do this week? Oh, yeah, our Tuesday was great, but Wednesday was really dead. Okay, I got to switch it up, and let's see if I can make it so that that day gets more traction. So it's a little testing as you go along. Again, nothing's set in stone, so you can adjust real easy.
Well, and I think that underscores what you said earlier about start with why. And if
You
know
have
your
to start with your why. Exactly.
Then you know if it didn't go well.
I mean, if we're trying to make a video go viral, that's a whole other set of.
That's another
I
why.
don't even want to try that one. That just happens.
Okay, thank you. Amanda, any thoughts about that?
I mean, again, it goes back to research. So you kind of have to know who your audience is and what's going to speak to them, what language is going to speak to them. A great example, I worked with a welding company, which, I mean, obviously I look like a subject matter expert on welding. But it required a lot of research. I had to go through a lot of publications and kind of figure out what is the jargon that they're using and what is going to speak to these people, because I'm marketing directly to people who use this equipment. And it was like torch tips for welding machines. And I'm like, I don't know what these acronyms mean. I don't know what any of this means. Am I even saying this correctly? But it's a ton of research. You have to know that product. You have to know that business and that organization. And then, you have to A/B test it and see, if I say it this way, does it work? If I say it that way, what image is going to be better for this? Is it a static image? Is it something with a video? What is going to work? FYI, Women in Welding for March was not a hit. I thought it would have been. It was not a hit, and that one flopped big time. But again, it's, you have to figure it out and you have to work with it and see what's going to, kind of capture everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say just one really quick thing, because I completely agree. It's the research. And doing the research up front with a group of, with a client, with a group of leaders from that organization. If you establish the correct brand values, the correct brand idea, the correct mission, you know who your audience is. Because if you've done the research to understand your company to that level, then the audience is there. And it's just a matter, like they said, of testing what's going to work on that audience. So the companies that really are successful are the brands that do that upfront deep work, establish those set values, those set, and you can change your mission. A lot of people do, but just knowing the personality, honestly, of your brand and how that is at its core just going to communicate to your audience. And then the target audience research needs to be there at the beginning as well, because you don't just want to go in blindly. A/B testing to everyone. You have to know some general parameters, to start. And I think, like I said, you'll talk to any marketer and we'll be like, please research. And we research on your behalf because we have to know. Like you worked with welders. We have a client who does, who's been 75 plus years in manufactured homes. And that's an industry in and of itself with an audience of home buyers completely different from traditional home buyers. And so you have to be really careful in messaging, and you have to be really diligent in establishing target audience parameters up front.
Thank you. So I asked this next question is a two-part question. I'm going to make it a two-part question. Common challenges that you see. And I say it's two-part because what are some challenges you see with your clients that we might be able to learn from? But also what challenges do you see just from anybody trying to market their business? Because oftentimes in this program, we get entrepreneurs and wannabe entrepreneurs. So if you could talk a little bit about the challenges and specifically then those challenges in marketing, again, in alignment with the core mission, vision, and values. So challenges.
So to kind of go off of what Ilya was saying earlier, everyone wants to go viral. And it's just for the sake of going viral. Like there's no actual planning behind it. They think that's what's going to bring people in. And I need to have this many likes on my page and I have to have this many people following me. And that doesn't mean that you're getting any engagement. It doesn't mean that people are actually resonating with your message is resonating with them. So I think that's the biggest misconception. Another one that I see is people say, well, we have to post 5 times a week. Why? well, I read an article and it said I have to post 5 times a week and I have
Or
to
did a
post at 3
TikToker
p.m.
say?
Yeah. And I have to post at 3 p.m. every day. And this is what it is. And it's like, okay, that works for that person, but that doesn't work in your demographic. If you have to look at your own research and you have to look at your own analytics and kind of see what's working and your customer, are they on your page at 3:00 or are they on your page at 8:58? You have to look at that. So those are the common mistakes that I see and the common misconceptions.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. You have to at times educate your client because again, they do see something and they think, oh, that's going to work for me. No, not necessarily. And so you have to kind of, explain why it may not work for them. I think that is the biggest challenge is when you're giving your advice, your expertise, you've done the research, you've done all this stuff, you've been at it for a number of years, so you can already see this might be a better way. And then the business owner immediately is like, no, I think it should be this way. And it happens, sometimes you go their way and let it show that it doesn't work. I mean, that's the truth. Let it fail, and then you can, try it again. With marketing, at least, you always have that opportunity to just move and make a new turn, get a new campaign going. It's not a pass fail and you're done. So that for me is definitely the biggest challenge is the education portion of it. How do you phrase it so that they understand that maybe that's not really what is going to work for you and your business?
It's not failure, it's learning, right?
It is learning. I'm saying that the learning part is a challenge for me because I make the assumption, you know this, right? And no, they don't. So it's getting there. I'm not a teacher like probably a lot of people that are here. So it's just getting into that frame of mind of, oh, wait, I understand now that you think it's this way because you saw something, but let's get to how it really, really does work.
Yeah, we have to build a lot of processes around client education. And we are always adding something to a proposal or a contract that somebody proved we needed. And so, yeah, I completely agree. Client education for their best interest, because we're trying to help. And I think that's something that when a relationship especially goes on for a little while, a marketer-client relationship, a lot of times clients like new and shiny. And they need to be reminded that, we are working toward your best interest and supporting your brand. So I completely agree with that. I think in terms of the mission, vision, and values challenge, it's similar, keeping clients' eyes on and reminding them of the things that you have already established. Like, remember, this is your brand, not the new and shiny thing over here that someone else is doing. This is you. This is who you are. If you are ready to redefine that, that's a different conversation. But right now, you have to go off of maybe not what is the newest, coolest, trendiest thing. You have to be true to who you are. And that is a constant client education.
What would you say to a client that says, I really don't understand the difference between mission, vision, and values? How do you help them understand the difference between those three things?
We do a visioning mission work process with them. So outside of even the brand strategy, because that is something different than a traditional mission and vision, we will go into leadership meetings with them to define their vision. And it's about explaining the difference between, the mission being an active state of what you're wanting to do, sell, be, and the vision of the direction that you're wanting to go. Mission is short-term, right now, active. Vision is long-term. It's visionary. And so I think being a part of that process with clients as a marketer upfront is really important, and it gives the marketer an advantage and just getting to know the customer. But it also then gives that client more direction as they're creating those vital pieces, because the mission and vision and values are things we're going to use in your marketing. we want them to be good. We want them to be informed. We want them to be informed by experts, not only in their industry, but the experts who are going to be talking about them to the outside world. So I think anytime that you can be involved in that, in guiding that creation of those items, you're going to have more successful marketing on the other side.
She said, yeah, anything to add? No. She got it. Got it. Yeah. All right. Metrics of success. We talked earlier about start with why, and that's a great metric. But if you could talk a little bit about how you measure success with marketing initiatives, and again, any examples or stories that you want to tell about when something really worked and worked well.
Yeah, I mean, with the analytics and everything like that, it's going to come down to engagement. So how many people are actually engaging in what you're doing, not just, following your page, but actually being an active participant in your message. But if it comes down to like a nonprofit, it's, you're going through this marketing campaign, a capital campaign, for example. Are people actually responding to it and making those donations? Are you getting it directly from there? If you're talking events and festivals, are you getting people through the gates? Is your marketing that way working? Is it pulling people in and making them want to spend their money? Something we're seeing in events right now is it's harder to get people through the gates with the way the economy is. So you're fighting multiple events every weekend. So you have to be a little bit more strategic. So it comes down to, are you seeing that return from your marketing efforts? And that's it's engagement and butts and seats, basically.
It is engagement. I mean, both my bigger clients, if I get people to an event for the museum, then, we know what numbers we've already hit. So when we hit the bigger number, then that was a good marketing campaign. And sometimes it's a surprise, something that I didn't think would work that well. And and all of a sudden we have over 100 people just show up for something that was supposed to be really simple. That's a great little bonus. But even with the restaurants, getting that feedback that, yes, we had a really busy week. Oh, my waiters were complaining that they were so busy. I want to hear that more. So that feedback definitely lets you know that the campaign's going right.
In a rapidly changing market, how do you adapt marketing strategies to maintain ongoing alignment with the core mission? And it's just change, it's rapid. So how do you keep up?
You got to keep looking at those trends. We have to educate ourselves as well. So even going to, whether it's workshops or online, whatever it is, but you got to keep on top of how the market is changing, and then adjust for your clients. I think that's probably true with most businesses. You got to just keep looking at what's happening around you and to other businesses like you. So same thing for us. We have to just stay on those trends and see what would work for one client, maybe doesn't work for the other. But that way we know what's happening.
Yeah, I think the research part too isn't one and done as well. It's ongoing throughout the life cycle of the business and the life cycle of that marketer-client relationship. And we're talking research on individual campaigns, new tools that we can use to market, but also demographics. If you look at Mount Dora, where we're based, the demographics have drastically changed over the last 7 years. New styles of businesses can be successful in that historic downtown core that would never have made it 10 years ago. You just have to look at all of those different pieces, and there's so much to keep up with. You're not going to get it right every time, but maintaining that education piece internally at your agency or for your organization is really important. And then being willing to try new things is also really important. We struggle with that with some clients who have been around for a really long time. They've always done things a certain way. This has always worked. I'm like, well, yes, but that, we haven't increased the marketing budget in 7 years, and, prices have increased, and there are now new avenues available that we could try. So it is, I think in addition to constant education, it's also constant sales. I think we're constantly trying to convince and not only educate clients, but sell them on the new ideas and the new things. And that is an important piece because you have to be convincing, and you have to come with data and testing to back up what you're bringing. But sometimes we just throw new things at the wall as well. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, so from the research standpoint, down in South Lake County, we are booming. I mean, there are so many new houses going in right now. We have that huge development that's going in over by the turnpike and everything like that. So for me, with the businesses that I serve down there, it's really important for me to be kind of plugged into who are these people that are coming in, what kind of businesses are coming in. So I actually sit on the public policy committee with the South Lake Chamber to kind of meet the other representatives from the area. The county is very involved. So you get those demographics and you kind of learn who's coming in and you kind of have the upper edge that way. But yeah, it's a great educational tool to have. So you know who you're marketing to, who the potential people are going to be and everything like that.
Have you ever had any ethical dilemmas with marketing and keeping in alignment with core mission, vision, and values? Any ethical dilemmas? Or maybe seen something out there that maybe you didn't have anything to do with, but a good example of an ethical dilemma when it comes to marketing. Or another way to look at it with having to be sensitive to the marketplace and any mistakes that you've seen made out there.
I think the ethical issue that I've seen specifically would be we've had a client come to us with an idea, with funding, and we've gone through the brand strategy process with them, the visual branding, getting them up and running, and then they have not delivered on the product that they said that they were creating. And as a marketer, there's only so much you can do. If there is no product to sell, we can't be involved in the selling. And so we've had to remove ourselves from a client relationship because we got things as far as we could. But if a business is unable to deliver what they're saying they're going to deliver, we can't continue to market that. That would be, I think, the biggest ethical dilemma. And it wasn't even a dilemma. It was very clear that there was nothing to sell. We're not going to start telling people that there is something to buy. So.
Anything else to share on ethics? All good. Yeah. Artificial intelligence. What impact is that having on your business as marketers? What do you foresee with artificial intelligence?
It'll flesh itself out. AI is a tool, and I'm going to go back now. I know they're younger than me, but when Illustrator and Photoshop and all the graphics came out, I was beta testing, so I would hear, "Oh, graphic designers, now you can do it yourself." Well, no, you can't, because a graphic designer is designing these things. The software helps you do it. It's a tool. It's a brush. It's a pen. It's a pencil. And same thing with AI. AI can't really write all the research that she gets. It doesn't go out and get that research. Sometimes when you search, you get garbage out of AI. So you really have to be careful what information you're drawing from AI, and you still have to do that research. You still have to make sure that what they come up with is true and real. So to me, it's a tool. I've used it if I want to fine-tune what I'm saying, and you have no idea how many times it gives me something, and I'm like, oh, nah, and I change it because it's not right. It's not human. It still can't do that process.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely a tool to kind of help enhance some of your stuff. I absolutely use it with hey, this is what I'm trying to say. Can you make it sound nicer? Can you make it sound this way? And it helps. But I think the biggest concern, and I don't know if you both feel this way too, is that I worry that clients are then going to be like, well, I'm going to take it in-house and I'm just going to use ChatGPT to make this work. And instantly when people are doing it because there's approximately 15 emojis within the social media post that they're using. And 6, it's a hot mess. And you're like, oh, that's great. Or when they're using it for their images as well, instead of just instead of just going into Canva or hiring a graphic designer to do it. It's a little stressful, but yeah, it really just needs to be used as a tool to kind of help you with your process.
And I do think it's going to become more sophisticated. It's going to improve drastically. And we as marketers need to be prepared to be in a world where we may not be doing all of the designing, all of the copywriting, but educating ourselves again continually on how to then be the best filter. Because we do have strategic expertise that still needs to be filtered. We have, to act as the filter for the research that AI can kick out and will eventually kick out accurately. We need to be the filter to vet the images and videos that are coming out and say, this one does apply to your brand, this one does not. Because clients are going to take things in-house, and some of them are going to do a really great job. But there's still, I think, a place for traditional marketing professionals, designers, to be that expert filter and strategic, to set strategic direction and take what AI is giving and apply it to the businesses. That's where I kind of see things happening. We're not going to act in the same traditional capacity that we always have with design and writing. We are going to be using these tools more and more and more, and they're getting better. So we are going to have to set ourselves up as those strategic experts to take that information in and still spit out something that looks human, that looks appropriate for the brands that we're representing, and that will help those businesses maintain that level of professionalism that I think can kind of be eroded when you start relying on some of that AI, especially right now when it's in its infancy.
I think that's really good advice because it can be cost effective, right, to use AI. So what advice would you have, because we may have some budding entrepreneurs in our audience, what advice would you have about marketing budgets and how much, what percent how does a new business know how to fund their marketing efforts?
I mean, it kind of depends. What's your goal? Why and what are you looking to do specifically? I'm never going to tell someone to get a billboard right away. That's an exorbitant amount of money. So that's not what I'm going to tell you to do. I'm going to tell you to go more local. I'm going to tell you to join your chamber. I'm going to tell you to network and get face-to-face with people. Make sure you have your social media pages. Make sure you know who your audience is, who you want your audience to be, things like that. But as far as a dollar amount, I mean, there's a lot you can do for not a lot of money at the end of the day when you're starting up. You don't have to have a ton of money. And depending on what you're doing, for example, if you're an event, 9 times out of 10, your TDC will have money that you can use as a grant to bring in people from outside the county. So I have a festival that I work on, and that's what we do. So I get $10,000 every year, and I literally have a billboard that's on the county line, and that's what works. So, I mean, it's still technically out of county to bring people in, but yeah, your marketing budget, I mean, it's going to depend on what your goal is, but I don't think you have to spend a ton of money just starting out. You can really do it in a cost-effective way that's not strictly AI.
Yeah, stress on the not strictly AI.
We always advise clients to invest up front. And again, this is more from a branding perspective than just marketing, but investing in that research phase. If you're looking at the RPI method of research, planning, implementation, evaluation, a lot of people skip the research and a lot of people skip the evaluation. And if you want to be successful long-term and you have a budget, invest upfront in the research, in the building of your brand strategy and your visual brand. And that will give you the foundation to then do some of those lower cost marketing efforts up front and really move forward with the best plan and on the best footing. So there's a range of things you can do even in that, that doesn't have to be that expensive, especially if you're willing to put in the time to do your own research. You can hire an agency to do that research, but it is going to be more expensive. But you do get the expertise. So it really is, we're all saying the same thing. It depends on what you want to do, and it depends on where you're starting from. But we always advise to invest up front in that research piece, because you do have more likelihood of success moving forward if you have a better idea of who you are.
We may also have students in the room who aspire to be marketing professionals. What advice would each of you give to any students in the room who are thinking about marketing as a career?
I love it. It's creative. It can be a lot of fun. You might want to pull your hair out at times. It's okay. But it does give you a way of being social, creative. There's a lot of features to the marketing side that I didn't have when I was just a designer. I started as a graphic designer. It really does get you out there to get that feedback. The social aspect, I think, is really what makes it for me.
Yeah, I always recommend interning, or at least like shadowing somebody and going to their business and kind of learning firsthand what they're doing. I actually started in public relations, specifically like crisis communication, and then wound up in marketing because it was way more fun than crisis communication, obviously. But it was just a matter of sitting with different people in different departments and learning what they're doing. Like, how did you make that flyer? And I started with social media was you still had to have a .edu to have a Facebook account. So not to like age myself, but that's, I was there at the beginning of it. So kind of watching that and getting involved in that. And that's because I met different people who were doing it and learned from them. So even now I'm still learning from people. So I highly recommend just reach out to somebody on LinkedIn. Just find someone in the area that you want to work with and just reach out to them. And 9 times out of 10, they will respond back to you and answer whatever questions you have.
I think the only thing I would add is for advice going into marketing, I know the saying is, jack of all trades, master of none. But in marketing, you really do need to be a little bit of a jack of all trades. You need to have a little bit of knowledge in a lot of different areas. That, to Ilya's point, makes it really fun because every day is different. You're working with a lot of different industries, usually a lot of different clients. You're having to learn about welding or manufactured homes or art museums and restaurants. Yeah. So build a lot of diverse skill sets, lean into your interests, and anything that you're picking up skill-wise will apply to what you're doing in marketing.
Mm-hmm. So before we open it up to questions and answers from the audience, that's a tip. So be thinking of your questions. What is the one thing that you would get out to your car in the parking lot and think, wow, I wish I'd said that? What's the one thing? That wasn't on the script, I know. One thing about marketing.
I'm still going to hit the car and think of it. You know that, right?
Yeah. Okay. You can call me.
I'll call you.
I would say being authentic. So people can always read through it if you're not being authentic. If you're just trying to follow the trend, if you're just trying to keep up with what all the other companies are doing, having that authenticity and actually speaking in the voice that is that organization. I have one organization, and we lovingly say this all the time. Our tone is, we're the proud aunt. So it's a nonprofit, and they hand out grants for health and wellness. And our tone is, we're the proud aunt. We're bragging. Like, we didn't have you. We're not the nonprofit, but we're going to go brag about you as much as humanly possible. And it comes off very authentic because we genuinely are really excited about all of these grants. So that's my biggest tip, is whenever you're working in marketing, to always be very authentic and to always kind of bring that back to your mission and vision within the organization.
Another reason why AI just can't do the job for it.
AI can't be a proud aunt.
Can't do it. Can't. AI can be a proud aunt. If you learn nothing else tonight, that's the phrase.
Yeah.
What else? What?
I think I would say if you're a business owner specifically, don't underestimate the value of working with a professional marketing firm. I know we are all biased up here, me in name and position, but we know what we're doing, and we want to help. that is why we got into marketing. I think my business partner and I, one of the things we say all the time is we're here because we want to see other businesses succeed. I didn't really want to start my own business. It happened because I was helping other businesses. And that is, I think, just an invaluable part of that client marketing relationship that you miss out on when you just try to do it yourself. So it is an investment, but it's one that I believe in, especially if you're working with people with high moral standards, high quality. Obviously, vet who you're working with, but don't underestimate the value of working with professionals.
All right, so for the marketing professionals, I would say don't be afraid to fire your client. Yes, so, if things just aren't working, even going back to the ethical question, they ask you to do something that you're a little like, no, that's not me. It's okay to fire your client, and there will be others. They come along all the time. As long as you're doing all that research, all the work, going out to your chamber events, getting to know everybody that's in your current business, you will get another client. Don't be afraid to fire the bad client.
Thank you. Questions from the audience? We have a roving mic. Question, yes.
I'll jump in first and break the ice for you. In a changing world with AI, of course, we've discussed this ad nauseum in every arena. Have you adjusted course in your business? Do you still have a copywriter? Do you still, I guess I'm not asking you as much.
She's my copywriter.
As someone who loves words and loves to write words and loves to create words and wordsmith, I do not use AI. I do not use ChatGPT. I have never visited any of their websites. I'm pretty staunchly against it because that is my passion, is writing those words for people. Have you adjusted? Have you changed course? Have you gotten rid of people or said, no, we're going to keep doing it the way we're doing it? What's your approach?
So I'm a very small, boutique is boutique. It's myself and one other person. And she is my main copywriter and I keep her on and I love everything she does. She specifically works with my law firms that I have because there's a lot of nuances there. So you have to be very mindful of how you say certain things when it comes to law and being Florida bar compliant and everything like that. So I love having a copywriter on staff personally. I mean, I did it for a while too. So I hope it never goes away. I know I plan to keep a copywriter on staff at all times.
Yeah, for us, we're a team of 3, so I feel you there. Also very boutique. But what AI has done, first of all, I think my personal opinion is, even as a creative professional, I'm a graphic designer, I have to embrace it. I have to at least know what is there and what I'm up against, really. So I have looked at all of the tools and I have, I try to stay up on what's coming down the line. My husband is in technology development, and so he is my education piece. So I'm very lucky. I don't have to do a lot of the research myself. He just brings me the information. It's great. But we've used it so far as a tool to make us faster, to increase the speed of our research, to increase the speed of some turnaround times for certain copy projects. We still vet everything that we are putting in and taking out, but we are using it as a tool. It hasn't replaced people yet. I haven't used ChatGPT instead of a copywriter or instead of a contract designer for any projects, and I think that's a ways off. And it might happen at some point, but we still are vetting everything, but using those tools. So I do think we are starting to see that shift in how you're applying it in your business. And I do think eventually it's going to replace some positions, which is why you need to make yourself that expert as the filter. So yeah, if we're talking about advice, again, to marketers or business owners, learn about the tools, learn about their progression, and become a better filter.
You definitely have to know what's going on with AI, just because it's here. It's not something that's going to go away. But obviously, again, she's my copywriter, so I'm 2 people as well. Actually, I have 3. I have a graphic designer too. So goofy stuff, maybe an email here and there. I'll run it through Grammarly. I'm not even going to ChatGPT. I'm doing Grammarly so I know at least my spelling's right and the grammar's right, just to make sure that what I wrote made sense and it doesn't sound like gibberish. But she definitely writes everything else that we do. Any big campaigns. Yeah. You're good.
She wanted it on the record, just in case.
Now it's on film too. A video.
Another question.
Hi. First of all, I want to congratulate you, Deb, on your book. And thank you for the three of you for being here tonight. It's very useful knowledge. All three of you touched on trends and brands. So I have a two-part question. One, what marketing strategy or trend do you think is most overlooked right now, but has the potential to make a big impact in the next year?
Great question.
I think you stumped the experts.
Oh, I didn't mean to.
Well, I think it's hard to think about a trend as being overlooked because a trend by nature is out there, it's happening. So I think the real challenge, I'm not really going to answer your question, is applying trends effectively when it makes sense for the brand. So, and also being aware of what the trends are. I'm not very good at that in my business. I rely on other people for that, especially in the social and digital space. I do the strategic back-end research on the branding and the creative direction. And if there is a new TikTok trend out there, I don't know about it, but I make sure somebody on my team does, and I make sure that we are applying it appropriately. And I think the other thing that we try to do with when in the realm of your question would be to find ways to be trend setting, to find new marketing ideas, and to really brainstorm new and fresh ways of doing things in a very noisy world. And so that creative piece, that human piece, when you're brainstorming with your team, coming up with new ideas for the client, trying to land on things that might become something not just trendy, but really effective for your client. And I think that it's not a specific thing for everyone. So I don't know that there's anything that's been overlooked necessarily, but there are always new ways of doing things. And that's part of what's fun about, being in an agency.
Yeah, to build off of that, I mean, we all have content overload at this point with all the different platforms. And if you're looking at the TikTok trends and everything like that, if I see one more Samba Whisk video, I mean, I'm just going to keep scrolling, right? So you have to stand out from that. You can't just be doing the same trends as everyone else. You have to do something that's different. You have to do something that's unique, that also speaks to your brand, that also speaks to your mission and vision and values and everything like that. So you don't want to be necessarily doing the trends that everyone else is doing. You want to be the trend setter at that point.
You have to be there at the beginning. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, thank you. And my second question or part to this, when you were talking about brands, what is the biggest mistake that you see companies make when trying to build a brand today?
I think the biggest mistake that some companies make is not listening. And I think, we can talk about research, we can talk about testing, but, I'll use Jaguar rebrand as an example. They had seen a sales dip for a couple of years. They're up against other luxury car makers. They're up against specifically the EV transition that's happening. And so they went all in with an ad agency for a really, really bold rebrand last year and completely flopped. Their sales, I think, halved because they made a bold change, which wasn't necessarily a bad move, but they weren't really paying attention to what was happening in the market or why their sales were falling off, or at least their ad agency wasn't. Somebody didn't do the research. So they came out with a brand that did not resonate with the audience that they've spent, decades building. They came out with a brand that didn't resonate with a new audience. And they are scrambling right now, and they put out a call for a new ad agency. They're actively looking for someone else to help them rebrand again because they missed the mark. And I think that's a really big example for something that even small businesses do. They have in their mind what they think is going to work, and they don't actually listen or understand the audience, especially when you're looking at traditional markets. You know, if you're a community bank or a luxury car company that's been around for, almost 100 years, you don't really need to look for a new audience. You don't need to do something new and different. You need to find ways to speak to those people who are already listening. So.
Any other questions from the audience? Yes, please.
This is fun. We'll keep it going. In a world that has become so virtual, so TikTok-y, so ChatGPT-y, our area, Lake County as a whole, is a fairly different demographic where what is hitting the mark in a lot of other places, even in our neighboring communities, it doesn't hit the mark here. And even your South Lake, even in South Lake to North Lake, vastly different demographics, vastly different everything. How do you make it personal? So it's not just branding, messaging into the abyss. How are you representing your clients, your brands in a way that feels personal? Sometimes there are certain clients that we have where just I don't get that connection, or I need something more to make it personal, because you can tell when something is personal. You can tell when something is impersonal. You can tell when something is just tossed out at the public because, hey, they want 5 posts a week. Mm-hmm. What do you do to keep that personal touch and make it feel like you really are, representing your small business to this community?
So I'm lucky in the sense that a lot of the businesses that I work with and the nonprofits that I work with, they're very community driven. So I get to showcase the business leaders out in the community and the relationships that they have. It's going to Little League games, it's going to the high schools, it's sponsoring all of those events because that's who's going to do business with them. But like speaking to the difference between North and Lake County, I joke that the line is at Howie in the Hills. And it is different. South Lake is very much Orlando adjacent at this point, and we're starting to get all of that. So the way that I market in South Lake is vastly different from the more historical way that I would market up in North Lake County. So knowing that and kind of speaking to that and speaking to the heritage of the area that you're marketing in, and kind of having, again, researching that area and knowing the people that are there. But it's you have to have those moments where you can show the business within the community and that they're a part of it and they're not just a brick and mortar that happens to be there.
All right. Any other questions as we wrap tonight up? Well, I want to thank our 3 panelists for giving us great insight into marketing. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. Very insightful and informative. Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn the program back over to Representative Temple.
Thank you so much. Let's give our panel and our moderator one more round of applause. So I always come to these things or situations like this, and what resonates with me or what resonates with the audience. And so whether you're marketing yourself, a business, or an idea, there's some things that were said tonight that really set in for me and hopefully for you as well. A couple of them are, what are you trying to do? Understanding what that is, understanding your why. As a leader, you need to have feedback, and you need to listen to that feedback. Know your audience and know your business. Be true to who you are, and don't always chase the new shiny thing. Internships or shadowing are a good thing, and with our leadership program, that's important, having those opportunities. And for me, the one that was most important, that set in the most, it's not a pass-fail. It's learning. And so anything you do, I mentioned at the very beginning, leadership sometimes can be messy. It's not perfect. And so this is great examples of how to lead your business, how to lead an idea, how to market yourself. That's what this is about, having these opportunities to hear what others have experienced, what others have done. And just thank you so much for sharing your stories, sharing your experiences, and imparting that wisdom for us. So now it's our responsibility to listen to that wisdom and now go apply it. Thank you all for being here this evening. Thank you for taking the time out, again, for away from your families, away from the other things that you have obligations to be at. This was a great event and appreciate you being here. Everybody be safe. Have a good night.